Okay, where was I? Sorry, I had to take a break for a phone call from Marty, and then I had to go to church, but I'm home now. So I was saying, the lady I spoke to at the fire department was not helpful. She said she was going to let me speak to her supervisor and put me on hold. But then she came back on the line and said that they were going to send a unit over to where I was. And so I had to give her, the location of the parking garage and describe it to her and everything, since I didn't have an actual address. And they were going to send a unit over, and they have this key, and apparently some garages have this box that the key goes in and it opens the door in case of emergency. But she made it sound like apparently not all garages have this. But they were going to bring this key, and if the key worked, then I could get my car out. But if it didn't work, then I was out of luck. So we got Caitlin's car and we drove over to wait at the garage where I was, which was just like across the street. And this fire truck pulled up, and it was funny because Caitlin was saying she didn't think they were going to send, a fire truck, like a huge truck, just to help. But it was, a fire truck, and they pulled up, and like 5 firemen piled out of it, and they were all asking me what was going on, and I explained the situation to them, and I just felt so stupid for not having seen that sign that said they were closing at 6 and not open on weekends. I was feeling really dumb and really stressed. And I was sure I wasn't going to be able to get my car out because they took the key up to this little box, and the key kind of went in, but then it stopped. And then he would turn it, and the whole lock would turn around with the key. So it was basically broken, and we don't know. Maybe if it had not been broken, it would have worked just fine, but as it was, it didn't work. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just great. The key doesn't work, and now they're going to say there's nothing they can do until Monday. But they didn't. That's not what they said. Instead, they started trying all kinds of things to get in to the parking garage. Like, they were determined to get my car out. And I don't know, maybe part of it was that they wanted to help me, and part of it was maybe they were bored. I mean, firemen on duty in the middle of the night in Fort Worth, maybe they don't have much to do, and they thought it was exciting. I don't know. But for whatever reason, they were bent on helping me, and they tried all kinds of stuff. Like, the garage, I call it garage door, but the door that was closed over the driveway had a gap underneath, maybe a foot or two, and they were lifting up on the door to see if one of them could like scoot underneath. They were trying to climb over the top. They were trying to reach through with this little hook thing and pull the chain so that they could lift the garage door thing. They tried to go in through the exit. They tried everything. I mean, they were just doing everything possible to get in there. What finally happened was they took the huge ladder off of the fire truck, and they, I want to say unfolded it, but they stretched it out, I guess, and propped it up on the outside of the parking garage. And they used it to climb up into the second level. And so they sent a guy up there with my keys, and he drove my car down to the exit. Then another interesting thing happened, because as he was bringing my car out, apparently the door started to close again. It opened automatically once my car got to the exit, but it started to close again like halfway through. And so one of the guys reached up and pushed up on the door, and he said when he did that, the door just started going back up, but he might have broken it. So he was kind of telling me and laughing a little bit that he might have broken the door, and I said, well, the company just deserves it, because they need to have some kind of phone number, an after-hours phone number, or something you can do to get your car out. But anyway, they got my car out, and maybe an hour after all of this started, and they drove it around to me and took a little bit of information from me on a form, like my address, my driver's license number and stuff. And I signed the bottom of it. I don't even know what I was signing. It was dark and I did not try to read it, and I'm just hoping I didn't sign anything that said I would pay for damages, because obviously that would be bad if the door broke and I had to pay for it. But it probably wasn't that. It was probably just some kind of informational form thing. Anyway, I think he would have hopefully told me if I was signing anything weird, like an agreement to pay for anything. But that was it. I got my car out and I drove back to Mama Bear's house to spend the night. But by the time I got there, the whole thing had just been so exhausting, you know, it just wore me out, and I was tired. While I was out with everyone and dealing with the car and stuff, I didn't feel sleepy, even though I had been up for like 36 hours at that point. I felt fine. I felt rested and everything, and like I was functioning fine. But once I got back and things quieted down, I started to get really tired. And I was on my netbook, and Colleen had suggested that I might want to write down the story of what happened. And so I was on my netbook in the guest room trying to type out the story, and I was falling asleep while I was typing. And it got to the point where I just was like, I don't care, you know. I've been up for 40 hours. I only have 10 hours to go. I'm probably going to regret it if I go to sleep now, but I just don't care right now. So I fell asleep with 10 hours to go, and that's my story. I don't know. I may try again some other time when I have someone who can, you know, stay with me the whole time. It would be easier if I didn't have that. It's that last night that is so hard, because you can stay active pretty easily during the day, but when it gets down to that last night, it's just so hard. It gets quiet and still, and you just want to sleep. So, I don't know, I might try again sometime, or I might not, whatever. But that's my story, so anyway.